Very close. Good. And then output capture. And then again.
See what happens when you let me do stuff?
Okay, now check the mixer. You should see audio input capture there.
Yeah.
Okay, no, click on, it still doesn't give it. You click on the gear next to the, no. Go in the mixer, in the gear there.
Here?
I'm getting audio on the stream.
Properties.
We're good. Right?
Okay, sounds okay.
We got audio.
Aha.
Okay, so the audio is back, guys.
This is what happens when you let me put me in charge.
Fine now. Oh, thank you guys. Thank you.
Awesome.
Yeah, because guys, I'm not at home with my, let's say, setup. So usually I'm the one who's managing everything.
And I stay alone since no one ever wants to hang out with me. So
yeah, exactly. So today we left it to, this is the first time Brian take care of it, and you can see he fucked it up.
Yeah.
Like he fucked it up. If you see any bugs in the game or anything that doesn't work, it's because Brian is fucking up. You know, that's the thing. But so where we said, hello everyone, let's start over again. That was a fail start. So let's start again. Happy to be here. As we said, I mean, you know me, you know Brian, I guess. But today we also have, I mean, I think also people knows you, Tyler, because I mean, you have made videos, you made commenting already, and a lot of things. But you can see we have Tyler with us. Tyler, just want to share quickly, very, very quickly. I mean, everyone in the community knows you, but I guess they see you maybe for the first time.
They also might not know me as Tyler. I'm probably better known as Toa, the fish head guy. So that's who I am in the community. So I guess this is my first reveal on an official platform. You may have seen my name and stuff on different articles I've written. But yep, Tyler Toa, this is me. So I'm behind customer service. So when Brian does make a mistake and you guys have to go report a bug, you'll go through me and then I'll pester Brian to get it fixed for you.
Yeah, he's the one who has to deal with literally all my mistakes and problems.
Yep, literally just grabbing all those account errors, those frozen pet errors, all that stuff. All of it.
I can see, me and Tyler, I see that people indeed already calling you the fish man. You know, indeed, Tyler is that guy.
I've branded myself pretty heavily in the fish head and water type Kryptomon area. So I'm happy if that sticks. I can kind of make my own nickname. So
cool. Okay, so I think unfortunately Carter is not with us, and the reason why is because that slacker is actually on holiday. So that's the reason why Carter is not with us. So I don't remember exactly which founder stocks it is. I think we are like a 15, 16. I don't know if anyone of the community remember which founder stocks, which number of the founder stock this is. Please let us know. But today, I think it's very important. We have kind of a topic, which is that finally we have released the first battle mechanics, and I will let Brian explain a little bit more. The agenda of today, we're gonna do a little bit of retrospective on what has been done to get to the point that the release that has been on Thursday. We're gonna play a bit. Brian was gonna show off his skills. Probably it will be wrecked by the bots. Like I know that the entire Brazucamon team and they literally want to.
They literally Brian just tune in to watch me get wrecked.
Yeah, exactly. They're just hoping, and I think they're gonna like cheer or drink or toss a beer, whatever.
You know when they have like the World Cup and you see them at the bar and everyone's going crazy? That's pretty much what I picture.
Exactly. And then we're gonna give a little bit of, let's say, spoiler, on the roadmap, because finally, as you can understand, and as I was mentioning in the beginning, the practice mode is probably one of the biggest stepping stone that we set. And the reason why is not just the practice mode itself, is the entire battle engine mechanics that have been built. And now that we have the engine, it's going to be way easier for us, of course, to adding the other mechanics, because we will build on top of the engine. Before, we didn't have the engine and we had to build the engine itself. Yeah. Now it's just a matter of adding on top of that. And so all the upcoming releases will be way faster because they are all connected to the battles. But we will go there too. And some extra final remarks and spoiler. So let's kick this off. Brian, why don't you tell us about, how, how do you build a battle engine? Because
Yeah.
we can read, I think you also have been, challenged a bit at reading the community, sometimes that you're too slow, you're not working enough, and stuff like that, and then we should be faster.
Yeah.
And so now that we delivered, can you tell us a little bit more, what has been done? And when we started, what was the steps? Because it has been a huge, massive work.
Yeah, and so one of the things, and I think this is sort of very important when it comes to sort of how I run software development and design and product design. One of the things that I really focus on in general is reusability and the ability to extend frameworks. So one of the critical aspects of our battle engine is that it's designed to basically scale with us. So it's not like we built all this stuff and everything is hard-coded in the code and there's basically just 1,000 lines of code that let you do like the 5 abilities that you have or whatever today. Really what we ended up building was basically a strategy engine. So all of the spells that you see in game, all of those are all part of a framework where we can add, remove, tweak them. If, for example, something happens and there's a balancing issue, it takes us all of 10 seconds to go and modify damage values. Everything is done through configurations on the back end. And so really what it allows us to do is it allows us to sort of scale the base game. And so I think you guys have heard me say this before, is that what you're seeing right now is really sort of the base part of the battle engine. So the spells that we have today, the strategy here was to build something that's relatively balanced. So you'll see a lot of the classes have a lot of the elements have the same types of spells. So we've got, for those of you who haven't played or those of you who are still getting acquainted, we've got physical spells, which basically are based off of attack. We've got defensive spells, which are used to basically mitigate incoming damage. We've got elemental spells and ultimate spells, which are all based on sort of your elements. And so the way that we approach this is we built sort of this base feature set of doing damage, defensive spells, and basically took that as the base. And then the utility spells that you'll see, which are things like panic attack, the static electricity, that's sort of a little bit of a precursor of what you're going to end up seeing as the game expands. So the design of the game right now was to build sort of something that every class was relatively balanced, and then we added some uniqueness with those utility spells. But really, as we start to grow, you're going to see the game's the elements' uniquenesses expand. And so the idea here is that we've built basically a turn-based game engine that allows us to essentially add any type of spell with any type of effect. We've already, I think I've mentioned, we've got 32 spells under development. So basically 4 more for each class. And to be honest, really the only thing that limits the ability to roll them out is the work on the visual effects. So we basically build the VFX, the sound effects, and the icon for the spell. And after that, the rest of the game engine takes care of the rest. I also think it's important to sort of think to look at the timeline that we built this on. So we really started, I think, at the end of March in terms of game development. Like I think I came on board sometime like mid-March officially, sometime around there. And so it took me a couple weeks to get the team sort of acquainted with myself and the way that I want to work. But we got to work pretty quick. And at 3 months or 4 months to build a full-scale battle engine like this with the features that we have, it's relatively quick. Typically, I would have expected that to take like 9 to 10 months. But we've got a great team over at Room 8, and then obviously with myself doing a lot of the design, we've come up with something that I think really hits well. And so far, I think the feedback's been pretty good. Most people find the game super interesting. When I have time, I find myself just picking up my device and playing just for fun, just to kind of see what the bots are going to do to me that day. Get a little practice in just in case some of the Brazukamon decide that they want to take me up on some of my offers. But I think in general, it's super important to think about this as this is really the start of Kryptomon at the end of the day. There's nothing that really sort of is blocking us from rolling out the additional features and new game modes and all of this other stuff, except for this battle engine. And now that we have it out, it really just comes down to tuning it and then adding layers on top of it. So you probably have seen the roadmap. We've got things with PvP, story challenge, PvP, and different types of PvP. This really is the foundation. And I think the other thing that people don't realize is that this engine was actually built as a networked battle engine. So you don't see it right now because it's not enabled, but the entire engine is actually already supportive of server-side battles, which is what's required for PvP. So we didn't just build like a local app on the iOS App Store or Android store that you can basically play locally. The engine's actually network enabled, and now we're just kind of putting the pieces together. So we're definitely well positioned for the future of the roadmap, and I'm actually super excited seeing the game come to life and how it's played so far. To be honest, it came out better than I thought. It's definitely more balanced. It's more fun to play than I initially intended. And so far, the feedback that we get, it's tough though, because like when you're building an engine, you see it in your head, but you don't necessarily know how it's going to play. And from my perspective, the comments and questions and things that people are talking about in chat, like that's what you want from a turn-based strategy game. You don't want like a button mashing game that has no skill whatsoever. Because at the end of the day, our target audience at the end of the day is going to be esports long term, right? And so in order to do that, you have to have a strong strategy-based game. Otherwise, no one's going to want to watch it. But yeah, so that's sort of a little bit of a recap in terms of like the battle engine, what it means to us. And then Umberto, like you said, we're really sort of well positioned to start really ramping up and adding new features and things like that.
No, exactly. I mean, at the end, what we have built, as you said, it was like more the foundation.
Yep.
Now that we have the foundation ready, we can easily scale the entire gameplay and game mechanics. But I just want to go back to the point. You said that, at the end of the day, it took us almost 4 months, because actually, guys, what we have released consider that the first alpha of the battle engine was being delivered like I think a month and a half ago.
Yeah.
The closed beta has been delivered a month ago, and now we went on public beta. So technically speaking, we finished the development, so to say, in 3 months.
Yeah.
And then the last month have been, thanks a lot for all the trainer squad guys, because thanks to their feedbacks, we actually implemented and made a lot of balancing and changes, like the very details, so to say. We will keep doing though, also considering now that we opened. So now we're not listening anymore only to the trainer club, but we're going to listen to all the community that have the opportunity to play. So I actually invite everyone to start playing and drop us your feedbacks on what you think we should change or improve. But indeed, building everything in such a short time period, considering what it is involved, it's kind of an amazing achievement.
Yeah,
because
I think it's super interesting because, like, Tyler, you were part of the early alpha testing, and I think we had some early spells that were just like not good. Like it was comical. Yeah. And I think you can attest to the fact that basically you came in, you're like, oh, this is just crap and doesn't work, and it only took us probably 5 days, 6 days to get a new version out with a new effect or something. Like I forget which one we were talking about. It might have been the water spell, and then
water and electro are the two.
Those are
wind
the
we've touched up on.
But I think, like you said, like I think it was like a week from when you came out with like the feedback that it just wasn't working to when we had something new out, which is really a testament to how we've built the code and how we've built the engine, so that way it's easy for us to add new effects, easy for us to balance. I think we had issues with HP at one point, right? I think the HP was like insanely high or something, and we had to tune that down. Or maybe it was low and we doubled it. But we've done a ton of balancing, like Umberto said. Like the original tester squad, they put in a lot of hours testing the game initially when it was rough. There was no animation at one point. Umberto probably saw the release and was like, "Holy crap, we're in trouble." But if you compare where we were at when that first alpha release came out to where we're at now, I mean, it's completely different. It's a AAA release of a battle engine.
I'd just like to hop in. I don't mean to cut you off, but it's just crazy to think about. I was looking at some of the dates on my eggs. We all got our eggs, just the standalone image of the eggs, about a year ago. It was June 30th. We all just had a still image of our eggs. So that was 1 year ago. Now we have juniors fighting in battles, getting us items in games. Yeah. And it's just crazy to think about, like, in 1 year, how far we've moved from, or how close we're coming to, like, the living NFT fighter game, like Virtua Fighter concept.
Yeah.
Like,
and it's crazy.
It's insane how fast in 1 year, like, we went from our eggs to juniors fighting on the battlefield, casting ultimates at each other. Yeah. And making fun of each other for losing to bots. It's just a crazy change of events we've had.
Yeah, in a year, I mean, we essentially, like, if you think about the amount of work that goes in, the first year of game development historically is the hardest. Because you have to do all of, like, the basic stuff, like, just, like, creating the Kryptomon assets. What does a Kryptomon look like? What does their animation look like? All of the work that's gone into animation, into visual effects, all of the basic stuff that you need to have, like, a true game concept, that happens in the first year, and that's really typically the toughest time. And this is where things start getting super interesting, because now we have the models, we have the animations, we have the basics for a game, and now we can start to really explore what it means to be a AAA game on the blockchain, which is going to be super interesting.
No, but like Tyler said, I mean, and the cool thing is that usually, as you know, guys, for me, this is the first time, that developing and building up a game, and I'm more coming, from the web to tech. And usually there you need first of all, way less process and way less people involved. Building a game, I realize it's crazy, just the amount of stuff that has to be done, from even the sound, or the VFX, and the amount of people that we had to bring on board to make this happen. And the fact that the usual process, because usually when you build an overall product, you go from the ideation, design, straight to the development. Most of the time, the development is also done well to the design and stuff like that. Instead, when building the game, you start with the design. You start with the concept. Then from concept, you move to design. Once you have the design, you go to economy balance and economy design. And then based on economy design, you change the game design until the two aren't working. Once you're done that, you start working on the UI design. And in the meantime, you also start working on the VFX and also start working on the character design. And then if everything has to be connected, and only at the last moment, let's say when the game is ready on paper, on spreadsheet, on Excel, because actually I think the battle engine and everything was ready on the spreadsheet after, the first month, then you can play, with Excel, technically speaking.
Yeah.
And then after only that, once only everything is completed, you pass to the development team that has to take care of the front end, on the back end, implementing, the entire UI, all the sound, all the effect, and then there are the bugs, and then you have the QA testing. So yes, it's kind of a huge amount of workload that goes into building the game. And it's not like that simple that, let's create the feature and then tomorrow we will start building up the feature. Is before getting, let's say that the development part, the actual coding, it's just, I think, count like 20% of the entire development process.
To be honest, like, most of the work is on design and prep and all of, like, the sort of framework work that goes in. Because at the end of the day, like, it's tough. Like, building a game is actually one of the hardest type of software development I've ever done, by far. There's so much that goes into it, like you mentioned, like, just the fact that we have, like, an art team and a lore team. Like, it's not your normal software development practice. Like, there's so much that goes into it. And it definitely is, it's fun for sure, but it can be daunting at times, but it's definitely one of those things where, like, if you do it right and you work in a way where you're really sort of focused on quality. I think someone was making fun of me for my OCD on chat the other day. Like, something being a pixel off drives me nuts, and, like, I just have that sort of requirement for things to be perfect. And I think that goes a long way in terms of, like, delivering quality products. So I won't let things go out that I'm not going to be proud of. So hopefully you guys appreciate that and sort of are really enjoying the stuff that we're putting out, because it's only the beginning. Is that maybe a good segue into the roadmap and what we want to talk about next?
No, I would say let's see if there is any question that we want to, some question. Maybe Tyler, you were.
Yeah, I jotted down a few ones.
Then I think everyone wants to see Brian get wrecked by the bots. So, and then afterwards, then we can go to the roadmap.
The big one I saw a few times across all the different platforms was mobile apps. Yeah. Question mark, when mobile, all mobile stuff. So do you have any insight you can provide on how it is for Android and iOS?
All right. So for those of you, most people are probably aware we've been in closed beta on Android for a while. I think almost as long as Battle at this point.
Yeah, actually, I think the Android
maybe
came
longer,
even
right?
before the Battle.
Yeah,
I think so.
So
Yeah.
one of the things that's interesting on the mobile side is there's a lot that goes into it, and so we've been really holding off on going live on the mobile because there's a process. It's a lot more complicated to have to go through Google Play in order to release stuff and do the timings on releases and get a process in place. And so we've been sort of using this time to really refine the way that we do things. I think in the latest release that went out on Tuesday and Wednesday, we or the basically practice mode opening up, it was already available on mobile on all platforms. So it was available on Android and also on our alpha iOS. So the fact that we have that process in place, basically, I think we're going to leak the spoiler that we're going to actually be moving towards an open beta on Android in 2 weeks. We'll be opening it up to the entire world. The other sort of thing that was blocking it was the new login system. So there's a lot of challenges with wallets and crypto on mobile devices. We're not quite there as an industry yet. So that was really one of the driving factors for the swap to the new login system because it's super easy. I think everyone who's played on it can attest to the fact that it's much easier to just type in your username and password and only have to worry about your wallet for transactions. So the release will be going out live in the next 2 weeks. We're prepping for it, making sure that the Google Play Store stuff is all set up and ready to go. And so we'll be using it as an open beta. You'll see it as an open beta. It won't be officially in the Play Store, but it'll be open to everybody. You'll be able to go and download it. So that is sort of the next big milestone for us is getting out things on mobile. Everything that's on the web is available on mobile, so they're relatively close to pretty much the same game. So I'm looking forward to sort of see what that looks like because I know a lot of people have been asking for it for a while.
All right. So I have 3 that I've jotted down. So,
yeah, it's funny how Brian just dropped a very big spoiler if we want to look at it. Like, yeah, no, because in the middle of his talking, no, so because the Android app is going to be ready, and so we're going to drop it almost probably in 2 weeks from now, but then we will, guys, if you haven't heard about it, the plan, and so far we are in plan.
Yeah.
And actually, initially the plan was to release even before, but then we realized it was actually a very important bug, let's say, of MetaMask on Android. I think it was Android 10, 11, 12 or something like that.
Yeah, everything but 11 for some reason had a huge bug.
Yeah, and unfortunately it's not a bug that we can fix because it's related to MetaMask, and so we had to postpone the release of the Android app and creating a separate funnel for connecting the things. But then, as I said, it's ready, and if everything goes well, in 2 weeks, everyone who's that have an Android can download the Android app.
Yeah, and that login is nice because it means you won't need to have browser connection. Even if you're on your computer, you can just open up a tab, sign in with username and password. If you're switching between devices, you can just log in anywhere. Ease of access is huge for that. So I know, Brian, you're proud of practice mode. I am too. It's awesome. But the next most common question is friendly battles. They just want the next thing.
I think I
they don't even care that battles are going out. We just released it, 2 days ago?
I think I put practice mode out and freaking Luciano, or it was either Luciano or Marcelo, pinged me immediately like, so when are we getting PvP? And I was like, Jesus,
yeah, so
man,
friendly battles, I've seen it a lot in the chats. A few people have been saying, friendly battle win? So when can I challenge a friend? So insight on that.
So let me actually switch screens and give you guys I'll give you a little bit of an insight into sort of where we're at. Like I mentioned, the battle framework itself is already network enabled, so it was built to support networking. During the initial testing, before we ported it to the actual game repo, the engine was running on servers. Now we're sort of polishing and filling in some gaps. So we don't have any game servers deployed, so we're in the process of working on the deployment of game servers out into Microsoft Azure, which is our backend service. So we're working on building a scalable infrastructure so that way when I drop practice and there's 8,000 people fighting each other, the servers stay online. So that's sort of priority one, is obviously we don't want to put out anything that we can't actually scale and support. We also are working through some bugs and issues on the Android clients and connecting out to the game servers themselves, because obviously it's a slightly different platform than WebGL. So we're working through some of those problems. But overall development is underway on the friendly challenge, the not so friendly challenge a friend concept, which I think is going to get nasty and it's going to be interesting. I'm going to have to hide for a while. But basically, I have a little bit of spoilers into sort of some of the work we've been doing. Let's see if I can show some of this. So we are actively under development. Hopefully you can see my screen. So the first step in Challenge a Friend is to build this concept of a friends list. So if you ever played any sort of game online, typically network games have a friends list. So we're working through sort of this basic functionality that's used for our friends list that allows you to add a friend, remove a friend, approve friends, see when your friends are online, build out presence so that way the game functions work. This is another one of those sort of underlying frameworks that is required in order to build like a AAA mobile game that's networked. This is going to end up being used for things like chat, for guild membership, all of this type of stuff. And so we're in the process of building this out right now. You can see sort of the general look and feel fits with our normal design. You can add a friend, remove a friend. You can see, I think there's a sword icon next to the player. If they're online, you'll be able to challenge them to a battle. From there, basically the next sort of thing that comes is on the other side. If I would challenge Tyler or somebody, you get a pop-up when you're online, and it would basically say player XYZ has challenged you, and you'd be able to accept or decline. And from there, you'd go and pick your Kryptomon using the standard screens. And this goes back to the whole concept that the battle engine is reusable. So from there, it's really just driving right into the battle engine. So you get to your Kryptomon selection screen, you pick your 3 Kryptomons or however many Kryptomons you want, and then from there, it'll show you who you're playing. So it would show me Tyler or Toa or whatever his username is. It would show me the Kryptomon he picked. I'd be able to repick my spells, and then we'd go straight into battle. So, like I said, we're in the middle of development. In terms of timeline, we're pushing as hard as we can to get it out sort of in an alpha state for testing by the end of the month. I'm hoping that, assuming things go relatively well and we don't have any issues, that I'll be able to also get it out to the Trainers Club in short order. Because obviously the only thing that's new is this friends list concept. It's not like there's nothing else really. So the battle engine's already tested. That we're definitely pushing as hard as we can, but I think that's sort of the rough timeline that we're looking at for Challenge a Friend. I will also say that on the back end, our dev team is also working on story challenges at the same time, so we're actually doing split development right now. So half the team is working on the Challenge a Friend, and the other half of the team is working on story challenges. And we scaled up some of the development on our side in order to support some of this stuff. So our goal is to really focus on these 2 modes next. Focus on Challenge a Friend, get that out to prove the game server mechanics. Because at the end of the day, we didn't want to release something with network combat that had money or anything involved. So we're really focused on getting that feature out. Once that's there, the rest of the stuff is super simple. So story challenge will be network battles, so you'll be playing bots on the server instead, so that way we can make sure people aren't cheating when we're issuing rewards. All the stuff that you're supposed to be doing as a good security practice from a gaming perspective, we're working through. So obviously, being in crypto, it's definitely a little bit more of a challenge when you're building features because you have to be super careful. You don't want people to have random access to your APIs and figure out how to exploit them off, unfortunately. So that made for a fun weekend a couple of weekends ago, but luckily we were prepared and we took care of it pretty quickly. So our goal really is to build sort of something that is safe and secure and scalable. Because I suspect, basically what we're building here is the ability to someday support 20,000 players concurrently in a battle. Like, I want to at least at some point have somewhere between 10 and 20,000 concurrent battles running at any time, and that's a tall order. Obviously, some of our team's going to have to do some work to recruit some players, but from an infrastructure perspective, we'll be able to support it. So that's sort of the update on the Challenge a Friend. Were there any other questions there?
Yeah, I have 2 more. Yeah. So I'll throw you a softball first. Someone was talking about, and this is just like a battle concept, like a weather condition or like a battlefield bonus effect.
Yeah.
And I know we had talked about this on our Slack a little bit.
Yep.
So just like the concept around, is the team thinking about having like in the electro area, do you get a
I will say that it's something is in the backlog, so to say.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
I would
I
say
saw a few
that
people
I would
chatting
not.
about it.
I would not be surprised if you see it at some point in the future. That's I think
Okay.
where we'll leave it at. But it's a
And
pretty
then-
cool concept in general. I think Tyler, you and I had kind of kicked some ideas around, and it plays well into the strategy genre because if you show the players which battleground you're playing ahead of time and they can pick their Kryptomon, the question becomes: do you pick the ones that are strong in that region, or do you pick ones that are counter to that region? And how does that work? So it'll definitely add a layer of strategy to the game. So we'll definitely be exploring that at some point. I think it's important to really understand that the elements are a key aspect of the game. They're really sort of the bread and butter of what Kryptomon is. Like if you were to ask me like what Kryptomon is, it's basically an elemental creature game at the end of the day, right? So we bill ourselves as like Pokemon Tamagotchi, but we're a little bit different, I think, and we've started to create our own identity, which is important in the gaming industry. Like, I don't want Kryptomon to be known as like a Pokemon clone. We're not. That's not us. We're completely different. We're going for a completely different gameplay mechanic, and we have very unique characters. And the fact that there's like living concepts of Tamagotchi kind of sets us apart. So it's definitely going to be something that you will see heavy emphasis on from a game design perspective when it comes to the use of elements.
Yeah, let's say that if we do spoil now on that, we will actually indirectly spoil on something even bigger. So we can't go there yet.
All right. Yeah, I just saw it being mentioned in chat, so I figured I'd bring it up.
Yeah.
But I've been playing Pokemon for 15, 17 years of my life. And I got to say, there is definitely a huge difference. When I went to battles here, I was complaining to Brian. I was like, hey, I was so good at Pokemon. Why aren't I just good at this when I went into the practice mode and stuff? And it's like it's just not the same game. Like just because we have creatures with elements fighting doesn't mean it's Pokemon. And it like takes some time to like really recognize that like, yeah, this is a completely different strategy game where your decisions matter a lot more than just spamming your highest attack move every turn, where you have to like manage your charges, manage your swaps, manage your health. It's just it's really interesting to see how advanced I think
Roberto, you had mentioned something like the mix between Pokemon and Dark Souls. Like it's like my background's in like
Yes,
my background's in MMOs, and I'm like,
and we said actually we're creating the mix of Pokemon and Dark Souls, but because it is, I mean, I think as Tyler, as you do, I mean, I've now started playing Pokemon again. There is GS Chronicle. If for anyone wants to play, is an amazing ROM for Silver and Gold that I just started. But indeed, I mean, if you click Pokemon, most of the time it's a kind of a smash button things, and it's very, very straightforward. But because it's easy, if Pokemon target is 11 years old kids, boy and girls, and I mean, when you are 11 years old, you can't really, properly planning a strategy. Your brain don't get there.
Yep.
But we are building a game that has to be, first of all, skill-based, that is built for people between 20, 35 years old, so for adults. And the last point of it, since it's a very skill game, as Brian said, we are really heading toward esport.
Yeah.
And if we want to create Kryptomon as an esport, that we really want to see, like in League of Legends, that's my dream. I want to see like a stadium, with players and people watching. And the only way to get there is to really building a skill game that you go to see how good are the players. How good is the strategy that the players are playing, and that's as you said, Tyler. It's totally different from Pokemon when it's most of the time is smashing a couple of buttons. You don't really think about a strategy. The only time you think a strategy in Pokemon is when you are very, very low compared to the opponent. But other than that, it's just smashing buttons.
Yep. So I think people wanted us to play a game or two, and we're gonna see how this goes.
Let's see.
No,
We're gonna get more screenshots of a loss and taunted over you.
Time, hopefully.
Let's see. Actually, let me open it also on my phone so I can watch it directly also from here. I really want to enjoy.
You want to enjoy the beating that's going to occur?
Yeah, exactly. I think everyone is enjoying. But indeed, Tyler, I don't know if you read it. We were discussing also with Mark. As soon as we have the Battle of Friend, I think we should create like battle against Brian, live stream
I
where
was gonna
people
do.
can.
You ever watch Yu-Gi-Oh or anything like that? Like the Kaiba tournament, like the big tournament or whatever at the end. Well, I'll hold like a private tournament for people.
I know. I know a lot of people tease him.
Realize that Brian is the final boss in the game.
Yeah, I know a lot of people tease him in chat, but I've seen his teams and I understand his strategy, at least surface level. I'm sure it might go a little deeper, but just looking at his teams, I understand what he's going for, and he has some very scary teams that are well equipped to handle a lot of threats. Because that's one of my goals is to beat Brian. Like he is the
Give everyone
big
something
boss.
something to strive for at the end.
Yeah, so and I know all of his pets and stuff, so now it's just like, okay, I know what it is, but I still don't know how to beat it. So it's that's where the strategy comes in of like, how do I actually beat this boss?
Yeah, at the end of the day, kind of what I look for in a strategy is like versatility. So like a lot of people play Smash and they'll go like max damage. I play a lot of control. I also play a lot of sort of counterattacking. That's just sort of always been my strategy. I played Rogue in World of Warcraft, so that should give you some indicator of sort of where my head is at from a gameplay perspective. I gank people from the bushes, so that's sort of been my background in terms of gameplay. There's so many layers to the game. Like I was playing the other day, and I realized that there was sort of a deeper layer, and I was like, all of a sudden it completely changed the way that I look at play. I played a lot of chess as a kid, and so there's elements of chess. So one of the things I'll spoil a little bit about what I think about when I play is this concept of tempo. And I think, Tyler, you and I have talked about this. There's this concept of tempo in chess that basically allows you to make moves while forcing your opponent to counter while giving you the ability to move forward. And so your ability to advance in tempo gives you a huge advantage because your opponent is consistently responding and you're consistently moving the direction that you actually wanted to go. So it gives you the ability to kind of think about things that way. I also play a lot of traps and things like that when I play chess, so that sort of plays into the same sort of structure and of strategy that I play. But I think the big thing for new players, if they're struggling, is really focus on the elements. Like the elements at the end of the day they're a reason why it's the core of the gameplay. It's because they're important. It's not like you just sit there and spam buttons. Like the whole game is about the elements. So if you're not thinking about the elements, I've seen people post videos and I'm like, oh god. I was like, someone needs to build a basic tutorial. Because, well, I think, Tyler, you even said this, like, the first time you played, like, when you dropped the alpha, you're getting wrecked, and you're like, I don't understand. This is not, like, this doesn't make any sense. And I'm like, just give it some time. There's definitely a skill cap on it. And so it'll be interesting. I think the goal here for the PvE stuff is to really focus on the ability for people to play, like anybody to play. So like the casual players will be able to play PvE and play through the story challenge. We'll have harder modes for people that actually sort of want to be tested and play at a more difficult level. But from my perspective, like PvP is going to be where it's at. Like that's where you're going to really run into problems if you don't understand the game mechanics.
Yeah, so just while you're playing and we're just killing some time, you leaked armor the other day in the chat, and it's got a lot of people thinking, all right, we've seen the design, now how is it going to impact gameplay? Can you talk about that at all? Or is that going to be a later date development?
No, I can talk a little bit about that. So the concept, if you think about the way Kryptomon's currently designed, Kryptomon's really designed around the genomes. And part of the problem with that from an RPG perspective is once a player has a strong Kryptomon, the weaker Kryptomon have literally no solution to the problem. There's nothing that we can do from a gameplay perspective to even the score, make things more skill-based, make things like it. And that's been a problem that I've been concerned about for quite some time. And so obviously if you played RPGs, the RPGs, when you play them, they all have armor and other things that enhance your character's base. And so the concept of armor is going to be an equalizer in the game. And so there are going to be different sets, most likely some that are focused on attack, some that are focused on defense, more balanced sets. the reason for that is it gives people a way to customize their strategy. So maybe you like playing super offensive and you love having everything be attack-based. Umberto, I'm laughing at you because that's probably I picture you as that. And so I would say like you could focus your armor on that. And you wouldn't have to, or if you like playing sort of like the tank and counterattack strategy, you'll be able to focus on more defensive things. And so the idea with the armor is that it's going to give people a little more of an identity as a player and as a trainer. So the idea here is that there'll be different sets of armor that have different stats. So some might have attack, some might have defense, some might have HP. Maybe there'll be a sort of baseline that everything gives you like some HP, and then some give you more attack, some give you more defense, that type of stuff. And so the idea there is basically it becomes an equalizer and a way for us to have it be more skill-based. And so the idea is basically that the armor over time will be something that you collect, potentially can upgrade. You know, we've talked a lot about the use of blockchain in gaming. I really like the I think I talked about the items, the NFT items pattern that we came up with for our items contract. I really like that pattern. I love the idea of you having a base item, having to earn some other NFT, and using that NFT to upgrade things. So I think I saw a question on the chat about elemental-based armor. A little bit of a spoiler, the base armor sets eventually will be able to be enhanced with elemental crystals or elemental NFTs that will give them boosts to specific elements, which if you think about it, gives you a completely different... the game just goes insane when you think about it. So, like, for example, I've got this guy, Kelvin. This, I think, came from Mitch. Shout out to Mitch. Thanks for that one. I like him. Kelvin is a grass secondary healer. And so, let's say I feel like his heals are too low. Instead of me powering up my armor with ice, I could power it up with grass. And then my off heals become stronger. And so it gives players... There's just so much depth of gameplay that you really won't... Like, right now, you kind of see, like, everyone kind of seems the same when you play them. You'll see that for sort of the first little bit of the game. Everyone has a little bit of a unique genome, but over time, like, I could play Tyler one day and he could switch his armor the next day, and I'll play a completely different game. If you're playing now, you even notice this, like, you never play the same game twice. I haven't even ever felt bored because literally every game is different. There's so many combinations of elements and secondary elements that you don't know. You guys probably saw in the latest release that I changed the bot spell selection strategy. If you're wondering, if you figure it out, it's actually my spell selection strategy. So the bot plays a lot like me. So you'll see that, like, now you get a completely different look. Like, if you're playing a team and there's no ghost, you think you're safe to stack charges, but hey, he's got ghost off element, a secondary element, and you didn't realize that he slotted it in. So I think from my perspective, that's sort of the allure of the game, is the armor is going to sort of expand on that concept. It's going to make things more unique to players. You're not going to necessarily know like who you're playing against, what you can expect, and then, like I said, it's an equalizer. So maybe you buy a set of armor and your Kryptomon's better, and then you play better against other people, or maybe you earn something in game that somebody else doesn't have. It really comes down to like your typical RPG structure at the end of the day. It's no longer just Pokemon. I think that's what's pretty cool. Oh,
yeah,
you can see your
sort
message.
of add some like class identity.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that was my cue. Umberto wanted me to just play one so I can save face and don't lose my second match. So we'll take that win as a win. And so I think we wanted to talk a little bit about roadmap from here. We talked a little bit about the practice mode, the challenge a friend that's coming. I will say we also talked about story challenge. You guys should be well aware of what story challenge is by now. PvE, that is slated to drop in September. So right now, that I feel relatively confident about. We've already done a ton of work on it. We shifted.
So then, Brian, let's start from this. So, as we said, at the beginning, from now on, since we have the battle engine, we're gonna drop a major release. Technically speaking, every month.
Yeah, that's the target. So our target is to drop a new major feature every month.
So we're going to have, as we said, actually this month is double because we're gonna have also the Android public beta app in 2 weeks from now. and we're done for July, so to say, and actually for August and July. But end of August, we are planning to release the PvP Battle of Friends that Brian just mentioned, and also just to give you another point of view, we are also working together with that. We are hoping to be capable to release together with the PvP Battle of Friends referral system that allows you, if you do invite your friends, you will be capable to earn some loot boxes and your friend too. So in this way, guys, you can finally go out, invite your friend to play with you, and you both gonna earn something from the game. Then we're gonna have, you said, we're planning to have the PVE at the end, somewhere around by the end of September, which just since it's the closest one, I think also PVE is gonna be the very important one because first of all, finally we're gonna release the story of Kogia.
I think it's cool. So like, I'm not usually big on stories, but the stuff that the lore team has put together is pretty. It's fun to like. You're kind of like at the beginning of like Pokemon or the beginning of a story, and so story challenge, like you mentioned, is going to be like you're going to really get to see sort of where we think the origin story is and what's coming in the future. It is pay attention when it drops because there are some major spoilers about the future of Kryptomon in it hidden.
And there is one thing, because we are always talking about the PvE, but I think that together with the PvE, so the PvE is going to be very important because now we can also tackle, that quest rewards are too low.
Yep.
It's normal. We're playing like 10% of the game.
Yep.
You know how our economy works. So if money doesn't come in, it's difficult that money goes out. That's quite straightforward. And the more the game will advance, probably the more players will join, the more the economy will circulate, and therefore also the rewards will be higher. And the PvE finally also we're adding a new leverage, a new level of rewards. But together with the PvE, there is actually another major release that I think we never talk. It always goes, under the radar, which are the battle items, NFT items, consumable items. A new set of items that comes with the PvE, which it always goes under the radar, but I actually believe it's going to be like another, very big step.
The thing that's interesting is like I've always said this before is like you need gameplay in order to make cool things. Like at the end of the day, like I can't Tamagotchi has some cool stuff, but it's at the end of the day you're just caring for something. There's no battle, there's no fun things. You can't build armor. I mean, I guess you could, but it doesn't sort of work. But going back to that concept of frameworks, like the NFT item stuff that Chris and I have put together, it scales for the rest of our game. Like it is going to be how we manage items, NFTs in game from now until the end of Kryptomon time. And so the fact that we are going to be releasing hopefully the first iteration of those items this month. I think you mentioned there's nothing in August until the end. I think technically we're trying to get the Tamagotchi power-ups that we've talked about out in August. That's really sort of a huge step for us. Like it's the first time we have an NFT that's not a Kryptomon, and like it's done in a way that we can add additional ones. That's how the armor is going to be done. But then on top of that, like you mentioned, we have all of these. We're adding the concept of battle consumables for story challenge, and a battle consumable is basically going to be an item that a one-time use item you can use in battle to either augment your Kryptomon, heal it, all kinds of different things. I think I've leaked some of the concepts, but it is a big part of the game, right? So the idea is, as always, we're not going to be pay to win, so the items will be available from in-game. But for players that want to purchase mystery boxes of consumables, it'll be available. And so it adds to the concept, like you said, of being able to really expand the economics of the game to make sure that we can provide solid rewards for players in both in the PvE space. I think it's also important to mention that there's been some concerns, obviously, of quest rewards. So the plan currently is to also have the Quest 10 reward modified to include a free Tamagotchi power-up every week for those that finish it, which is a huge... I think I've mentioned it on the Trainers Club, but it hasn't been public. It's a big spoiler. We're sort of moving into that RPG concept. You finish a quest and you get an item, right? So that's going to be sort of a huge thing because those you'll be able to upgrade. The ones you win from the quest will be bound. We have this new concept of bound NFTs. So they're used as materials in the upgrade system, but you can't sell them, but then you can use them to upgrade to things that are not bound to sell. So that sort of is the next evolution of the play and earn mechanic is you're going to be able to win and earn in-game items and sell them on the marketplace. And that I think is that's a big deal, right? Those are things that you can win because of your skill that have monetary value. And that's what we've been trying to solve from the beginning in crypto, right? Like, that's the reason why we're using crypto tech in games, because you need ownership of your assets. And so this is going to be like a big milestone for us that I think, you're right, is really being swept a little bit under the rug because there's so much other stuff going on. But it's a big deal. Like, there's not a lot of games that are doing this on the blockchain. They're probably not doing it relatively well, at least from what I've seen. And so, like, this is a big deal for Kryptomon, paving the way for how potentially crypto-based games will function in the world in the future. So I think it's a good call out.
Yeah, and to answer Jaded Snorla's question, will those customer ads also be finding possible during Treasure Hunt?
Yep.
Yes, it. I will give you a spoiler also there. First of all, the Treasure Hunt mobile app that we shared you something is currently under the beta testing with the tester squad. It's going to be delivered probably to the public somewhere, or either for the August hunt or most probable for the September hunt. But in any case, indeed, as of today, we only have 3 boxes, and you find loot box, and there is always the empty box, which is a very controversial concept. People are not happy with the empty box. But the thing is, we didn't have a lot of stuff to put in.
Yeah.
So now that we're finally going to have also the battle consumable, the Tamagotchi NFTs and everything, also all of those items will be possible to be found inside of the Treasure Hunt. Yeah. And finally, once this is going to be done, finally, guys, we will get rid of the entity boxes. So probably in September, in the hunt of September, hopefully you will not find empty boxes anymore. Yeah. But just because we're going to have more supply of items that we can drop. And that's kind of it. And after also, let's go back to the roadmap we said. So we're going to have the PvP with the battle items, the NFT items, hopefully Nogos with the Tamagotchi power-ups.
Yep.
And then we're going to have probably... It's going to kick it off.
This is my favorite part. This is
going to finally kick it off. Because we are planning for, hopefully, again, I'm always saying hopefully, guys, because when we started the development, we realized there were some bugs for something fucked up. But hopefully in October, going with the PvP Battle League, which is going to be a super cool concept that allows everyone to actually play every single day. There's going to be, I'll just quickly spoiler it, there's going to be 5 tiers.
I think it's 5 or 6 leagues.
Yeah, 5, 6 different tiers of leagues. And based on your winning, you're going to scale or you're going to go down inside of the league. And of course, you're going to win rewards, based on how you're going to find yourself at the end of the season. And the Battle League is actually going to be, it's kind of like an NFL or a Premier League. It's literally a league. And based on your, if you win, you earn points, you go to the top league. If you lose, you're going to be relegated to the last league. And of course, the cool things of the Battle League is that the precursors of finally the PvP tournaments that hopefully those are going to be dropped in November, December. And I think there we can consider the 1.0 version of the Kryptomon game completed.
Yeah, I think that's sort of our end milestone, right? That we're looking at to sort of take a step back and then see where things have landed. That's sort of our big coming out party is when all of the features are there, and we have all these pieces. To me, I think Story Challenge is cool because it gives people things to play on their own. I'm super, as you can tell, super competitive, so the Battle League stuff's gonna be crazy fun. It's a system I've used before in another place with some tweaks, and I personally really like it. And it's gonna make for some crazy chat online. But it'll be fun. And then I think, like Umberto said, like the tournaments are really sort of the next big thing after that. Being able to play daily tournaments, larger tournaments with qualifications, that type of stuff. It really opens up the door for where we see it from an esports perspective, the game going. And then after that, you don't know what's coming next. Umberto's like, we're not going there. We're not going there.
I think we're gonna go there.
Later.
Yeah, somewhere during this fall. I think we can start, tease a bit. I think that Tomer actually wants us to start teasing a bit, already after the. I think it's after the Android release. Tomer said that we should start sharing a little bit more about what is going to happen next year. But yeah, let's wait because next year. Let's just say this. The spoiler is in December, by December end of the year, we will complete the 2D game, so the Kryptomon 1.0. What's going to happen in 2023? You move from just do plus one, 2D plus one, and 1.0 plus one. See just figure it out what's going to happen and how everything is going to work. We already spoiled it. People knows it, but we are not going to tell you today. I think the time is almost up,
so
and still have a surprise, right, Brian, that you come up with that you pull out.
I got one more thing. So for what it's worth, we've been keeping an eye on the battles, and there are a lot of people playing. I think it was like 3,500 plus battles in the first day, which is pretty good. And so there's a fair amount of people. But I think one of the things that we want to do as sort of a celebration for our launch party is to offer basically a little bit of a promotion for the week, and I'm going to see if I can roll this video, and let's see where we're at. So, for those of you that caught it, we are officially, as part of our launch party, after the stream, I will be enabling our Star Seekers event. So, one of the cool things about the way we build games, like I mentioned, is things are frameworks, and so we can run promotions now. So, for the next 7 days, you'll be able to win 6 Star training tickets a day instead of your 3. So make sure you take advantage of that, especially since being max level, as Toa and others probably know, is important. The game's a different game at level 50, trust me. When you're down lower levels, it's a lot different. So we're announcing for 7 days we'll be doubling the tickets that you can win. If you already played your 3 this morning while you were on stream, you'll get another 3. So the update will go in afterwards. But you'll be able to earn double tickets during our Star Seekers events. I think that's all we got, right? I think
it's all we got. I think at the end of the day, it was a nice. Look, actually, we made it even without Anson Carter.
I know.
Just to say, we had this time we had Anson Tyler instead of Anson Carter. And I think we
don't
can
want to steal that title from him. I'll stick with the Fishman or Fishhead. I don't want to go on Hanson Carter's territory. I don't want to be on him and Gaia's bad side when they get back.
Today with us we got Tyler the Fishheads, and I think Tyler the Fishheads, played well. So guys, if you like Tyler the Fishheads and you want to see him more with us, just drop a fish head, I will say, or some fish in the chat, in the Telegram group and in Discord, and Tyler needs Connor needs the candy, Tyler needs the fish. That is how it goes. Guys, thank you very much for having me with us. I hope that you're going to enjoy during this week the promotion, and you're going to battle as much as you can. And as we always, drop your feedback. Let us know what you think. We are there. As Brian said, we build everything in the way that we're capable to make changes on the fly and to iterate accordingly. So it's important for us to collect your feedback, listen to your thoughts, because in this way we can improve it and we can make a change, and then you can give us a feedback again. Okay? So have a great weekend, and see you next time.
Thanks, guys.
Cheers.